AWS Lambda SnapStart replaces Init Duration with Restore Duration. Now, one could argue that this is merely a name change and the issue of cold starts still exists. In this video, let's explore whether this is true, if so, under what circumstances, and also when you should generally be considering using SnapStart for your AWS Lambda functions. Hello everyone. My name is Rahul and welcome back to this YouTube video. If you're new here, I make videos on .NET, Cloud, and DevOps. This video is sponsored by AWS and is part of my AWS Lambda series. AWS Lambda SnapStart is a performance optimization that speeds up the startup times of your Lambda functions with little or no change to your application code. If you're entirely new to AWS Lambda SnapStart, I highly recommend checking out the Getting Started video, which will be linked here and also in the descriptions below. Now for a quick recap, here's the example Lambda function we used in the previous video. So we have a simple function which initializes some data from S3 and it also sets up some class properties. The function handler itself simply simulates a work by creating some delay and it also writes a message to the console. Now I have this Lambda function deployed to my AWS account. So if I navigate to my AWS console, here we have this Lambda function. To enable SnapStart, it's under the configuration and under general configuration, you can enable SnapStart. Even though you apply it on the main configuration, the Lambda SnapStart itself is only applied to versions of the Lambda function that you publish. Now, if I was to simply invoke this specific Lambda function directly, which is the latest instance of the Lambda function, usually referred by $latest. Now, if I go and invoke this, so let's specify a text. So let's specify the latest version and let's click test. Let's invoke this function. So let's make sure we have a test payload and let's click test button. So this is going to invoke our Lambda function with the latest version. Now this has come back successfully. So if I switch over to the CloudWatch and refresh the logs, we can see the latest logs of this specific invocation. So navigating into that, you can see here we have an init duration, which is around 560 milliseconds. Now this is commonly referred to as the cold starts time, which is what Lambda SnapStart looks to remove. Now to run the version with Lambda SnapStart enabled, we have to invoke a specific version. So if I go into the versions tab, I have the version 6 I have already published, which has Lambda SnapStart enabled. Now this is the exact same code as the $latest, but with a version published so that Lambda SnapStart is enabled. So if I navigate into the version 6, I can again go under test and then use the same payload and click test in this case. Now this is going to invoke a Lambda function. So if I navigate back and refresh this logs, you can see there will be a new log stream entry, which is by invoking this specific Lambda version. You can see here that we have the number 6 indicating the version that we have just invoked. So if I navigate into this, you can see instead of the init duration, we now have a restore duration. However, in this case, the restore duration is around 585 milliseconds. Now, this is slightly more than the duration that we saw with the init duration. So was there really any benefit in enabling Lambda SnapStart? I have generally seen that in scenarios where the initialization duration is in the milliseconds, like around the 500 to 600 milliseconds, using Lambda SnapStart is generally not particularly useful. Now, again, this comes down to how much of a time you're trying to save, but in this scenario, you can see this has slightly taken longer. But I have also noticed that as you create more instances, this duration does come down a bit. But generally, I would recommend looking at the init duration and comparing them with your restore duration and seeing if there is much value in introducing SnapStart. For functions which has init durations in the milliseconds, this is generally going to be not much fruitful. However, when you have init durations of larger time, let's say more than a second, this is when the SnapStart features value really starts kicking in. Now, if I was to come back to our Lambda function and increase our cold start duration by simply increasing the time that it takes to construct the object, so let's go and create a new task.delay inside here. So let's specify a task.delay. So let's specify a delay of 5 seconds. So let's use the time span dot from seconds and also pass 5 to indicate a 5 seconds delay. Now, since this is in the constructor and since this is not asynchronous, I'm going to have to use the wait keyword. Now, generally, don't use the wait keyword when you're using tasks and creating tasks like this. This is purely to simulate some delay in this function call. Now, once we have added this delay, let's make sure to publish this function so that we have a latest function that's published to Lambda. So let's publish this and click Upload from Visual Studio. Now, if you're completely new on how to set up this in Visual Studio, I highly recommend checking out my video on getting started with Lambda, which will be also linked here and in the descriptions below. Now, our function is published, so let's navigate back into the Lambda console and let's create a new version so that we can start using that. So let's go back to a Lambda function. Let's click under versions and create a publish new version and click publish. Now, this is going to publish a new version with SnapStart enabled, and this is going to take some time. During that time, let's go back to a Lambda SnapStart and invoke the test functions on the latest version to see what the durations are. So let's click test by the same input. Now, this is going to take more than 5 seconds because we have a delay of 5 seconds. So we have the response coming back. Now let's navigate back. And in this case, the initialization duration is going to be much larger. We can see here that the init duration is almost around 5,500 milliseconds. Now, if I navigate back, let's go into the versions and into version 7, which is the version that we just published. Let's wait for this to be completely created. Let's navigate into version 7, which is the latest version we published, and this is now all complete. So let's go to the test tab and let's invoke once more for the test for this function. So let's click test. This is going to invoke our Lambda function. And in this case, this has returned much quicker. So if I navigate back into the Lambda SnapStart, let's navigate into the latest log stream for version 7. And here you can see that the restore duration is now only around 497 milliseconds. This is compared to the 5,500 milliseconds that we had on the latest version. Now, with a larger initialization duration, we see massive amounts of improvement by enabling Lambda SnapStart. Now, for certain workloads that you run on AWS Lambda, like running an ASP.NET Core application, etc., might have more initialization duration. You might be registering dependency containers, starting up message queues, connecting to various services, etc. Now, in these cases, there might be an increased startup duration that's already there for the application. Now, in these scenarios, you can see SnapStart is very beneficial because now you have completely improved the startup times on this function. By reducing the initialization duration, you are also achieving something when you scale the functions. Now, when you have multiple requests coming to this Lambda functions, if the Lambda function cannot serve it with the existing instance, it is going to create more instances. We saw an example of this in the Getting Started video where I used a PowerShell script to invoke parallel requests. Now, we'll do something similar in this scenario and see how it affects the number of instances that Lambda creates with the different startup durations. So let's navigate back to our Lambda function. Let's comment out the simulate work that we're doing inside the Lambda function and let's publish this. So the only delay on this function is basically the time that it creates to create the function instance. That is around 5 seconds. So let's publish this. So with this new change, if a Lambda function instance is created, there shouldn't be much work that's happening in the function handler because we have not doing any work inside this. Now, once it's published, let's navigate back into our AWS console and let's make sure that's all working fine before we start the load testing on this. Let's also make sure that we create a version so that we can use this as soon as we are ready. We have triggered the version 8. Now, if I come back to our Lambda SnapStart, go into test and click test again. This is going to invoke the latest version. So let's navigate into the CloudWatch. And once this version has come back, we can see inside this, there's a latest log. And the initialization duration is still around 5,500 milliseconds. Now, if I was to invoke one more time for this exact same instance, that's going to come quicker and the same instance is going to respond for that request. Now, in this case, you can see there is no initialization duration and hardly it took any time, which was around 20 milliseconds to perform this function. Now, for this Lambda function, I have also turned on function URLs, which enables us to use a URL to invoke this Lambda function. Now, if you're completely new to function URLs, I highly recommend checking out my video, which will be linked here and also in the descriptions below. Now, the good thing with this is that I can invoke this specific Lambda function using this URL. So if I invoke this, you can see we get back the response. Now, this is getting invoked by the same Lambda instance. So if I was to refresh this, we will see those logs in here. So you can see there are log lines which says there's a new request and it's returned the string that we just saw. Now, if we navigate back into the versions, our version 8 should be all published and ready to use. Now, if I invoke this again, so let's navigate into test and click test to invoke our version application. Now this returns much quicker. So if I navigate into the cloud logs and let's refresh this, and we have the version 8 request in here, and this init duration is still around 480 milliseconds. Let's also enable function URLs for our Lambda function version. Now for that, we need to first enable this on an alias, which I have already created, calling it as SnapStart. Now I can edit this and make sure to point this to the appropriate version. In this case, I need it to point to version 8. So if I was to use the Lambda function URL on this alias, then it will be hitting the version 8 function. So if I navigate into this and navigate and click this, this is going to invoke the function on this version 8. So if I refresh this log again, we see the request in here. So we have two URLs that we can use, one for our function latest version, which is a non-Lambda SnapStart enabled version, and also a URL for the Lambda SnapStart enabled version. So let's first run the Lambda latest version against this URL and simulate a load. So let's come back to our logs. Let's make sure to clear all these logs. We can clearly know what's happening. So let's delete all these logs under here for now. And I have a load script that I have written using K6. Now, K6 is a load testing framework. Now, if you want to learn more about this, let me know in the comments below, and I'll do a separate video on K6. But for now, this test is simply invoking a URL that we give, and it has a scenario set up. Now, in this case, it's saying we need a total request of 10, a time of 3 seconds. So the 10 requests will be spread over 3 seconds. And it will invoke this specific function. So let's make sure we have the right URL in here. So let's switch back to our console under our Lambda SnapStart. Let's go to the configuration and copy this URL, which is the function URL for the latest version. So let's copy this, switch back, and paste this in here. So I have the right URL for now, and this is the URL that we are going to run the load test against. Now to run this, let's switch over to our console and say K6 run and specify the load test script file. So in this case, this is loadscript.js. So let's run this. Now this is going to invoke that URL 10 times across 3 seconds. So you can see that this is invoking this test and we get back the results soon. So we see there are 10 iterations and it has made all the requests. So if I navigate back into the AWS console, let's go into CloudWatch and refresh here. Now we can see here there are many logstream instances that's getting created. So if we were to count this, let's use search by $latest and you can see we have 10 logstream instances created. Now each of these logstream instance is an instance of the Lambda function that is getting created. So you can see the different GUIDs based on the Lambda instance ID. So if I navigate into one of them, you can see the init duration for that specific function, which again is around 5,500 milliseconds. Now each of these functions is paying the exact same cost to do the initialization. Now some of them is slightly less, but everything is in the high 5,000s. And also we saw that for 10 requests spanned across 3 seconds, it had to create 10 instances, because within 3 seconds, no function would have created and executed back, which means it has to create a new request to serve the new incoming request. So when there is a burst of traffic or when there is high load requests on your instances, it is going to create more instances in this scenario. Now let's come back to a Lambda function. Let's go to the aliases and let's navigate into SnapStart and let's copy the URL for this. Now this is pointed against a Lambda SnapStart version. So let's use this new URL to invoke our load test. So let's remove this and paste the new URL and let's run the same test. Now this is going to invoke the Lambda SnapStart enabled version and let's see what the difference is. The test has completed. So if I navigate back into the console and let's refresh this. Now anything with the bracket 8 is going to be invoked against the new Lambda version. So once you refresh, here you can see we have 4 records or 4 instances of Lambda functions getting created with the version tag 8. Prior to that, it's all the $latest, which is from our previous request. So in this scenario, with Lambda SnapStart enabled, Lambda only had to create 4 instances to serve the same amount of request. So if I navigate into one of them, you can see here that the restore duration is around 350 milliseconds. So by the time this function has responded, we haven't invoked all our requests because this is certainly less than 3 seconds, which means a new request can be served by this same instance. That means Lambda doesn't have to create as many instances as it had to in the previous scenario to handle all the requests. Now with just 4 instances, we were able to serve that burst of traffic. In this case, what's happened is most likely that we had initially a 4 requests coming in parallel, which means none of the instances were free and it had to create 4 of them. By enabling SnapStart, we are also saving on the number of instances that we have to create when there is a sudden spike of load or if there is always a high load on your application. I hope this gives you enough information on how to find whether to enable Lambda SnapStart for your Lambda functions or not. Since each applications and workloads is unique, this is going to be highly dependent. However, I have generally noticed that for functions having larger init durations, it is very beneficial to enable SnapStart. Now, you still have to consider whether your application is time critical and you want to make sure that the request times are very less. Now, if this is a background process where you don't mind waiting on the extra init durations, then you might be better off not turning on SnapStart at all. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this video and don't forget to hit subscribe to be notified when the next video comes out. It also helps me to grow this YouTube channel. Thank you and see you soon in the next video.